The second session of the Senate in the second regular session of the 17th Congress is hereby called to order. Let us all observe a minute of silent prayer. Amen. Secretary, please. Secretary, please call the roll. Do it slowly.
Roll call of members. The Honorable Senators Angara, Aquino,
Present. Nancy. Nancy, present. Di, tita. Okay. Sige po.
Binay, De Lima, Drilon, Ejercito, Escudero, Gatchalian, Gordon, Honasan, Ontiveros, Lacson, Ligarda, Pacquiao, Pangilinan, Po, Recto, Soto, Trillanes, Villanueva, Villar, Zuberi, Senate President Pimentel.
With 20 senators present, the chair declares the presence of a quorum. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we dispense with the reading of the journal of the first session, Monday, July 24, 2017, and consider the same as approved.
Is there any objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Mr. President, I'd like to acknowledge guests in the gallery. We have guests of Senator Zubiri, Angara, and Villar, the co-op NATCO or NAT CCO party list leaders from Visayas and Mindanao, and also visitors from Central Pangilinan, district staff, and principal coordinators of the Office of Congressman Bordado of the 3rd District of Camarines. So we'd like to welcome them to the Senate, Mr. President.
Welcome to all of our guests and to the rest of the people in the gallery. Welcome to the Philippine Senate.
Mr. President, with the permission of the Chamber, before I move for the reference of business, I would like to tackle 2 bills that are up for 3rd reading to avail of the presence of the members. So with the consent of the Chamber, I move to consider for 3rd reading Senate Bill 1465 under Committee Report 103.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. We consider Senate Bill number 1465 under Committee Report number 103.
May we request the Secretary to read the title of the measure?
An act providing free irrigation service to small farmers, revoking for the purpose the corporate status of the National Irrigation Administration, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes.
Mr. President, printed copies of the measure were distributed last June 8, 2017, thereby complying with the 3-day rule. I therefore move to vote on 3rd and final reading Senate Bill 1465 through a roll call vote.
Any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Secretary, please proceed with the roll call vote.
Roll call vote of members. The Honorable Senators Angara, Aquino, Binay, De Lima, Drilon, Ejercito, Escudero, Gatchalian, Gordon, Honasan, Ontiveros, Lacson, Ligarda, Pacquiao, Pangilinan, Po, Recto, Soto, Trillanes, Villanueva, Villar, Zuberi, Senate President.
With 21 affirmative votes, 0 negative votes, Senate Bill number 1465 is approved on 3rd reading.
Thank you. Mr. President, I move to consider for third reading Senate Bill 1397 under Committee Report number 57.
Any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. We consider now Senate Bill number 1397 under Committee Report number 57.
May we request the Secretary to read the title of the measure?
Secretary, please do so.
An act preventing the penalizing the use of motorcycles in the commission of crimes through readable plate numbers and identification marks and for other purposes.
Mr. President, printed copies of the measure were distributed last June 8, 2017, thereby complying with the 3-day rule. I therefore move to vote on third and final reading Senate Bill 1397 through a roll call vote.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Secretary, please proceed with the roll call vote.
The Honorable Senators Angara, Aquino, Binay, De Lima, Drilon, Ejercito, Escudero, Gatchalian, Gordon, Honasan, Ontiveros, Lacson, Ligarda, Pacquiao, Pangilinan, Po, Recto, Soto, Trillanes, Villanueva, Villar, Sobiri, Senate President Pimentel.
With 21 affirmative votes, 0 negative votes, Senate Bill number 1397 is approved on third reading.
May second reading?
Majority
Mr. President, we also have guests of Senator Pacquiao, Mayor Don Abalon of San Roque, Northern Samar. We'd like to welcome them.
Welcome to the Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. President, I move that we proceed with the reference of business.
An objection? Hearing none, let us now proceed to the reference of business.
Messages from the House of Representatives. Letter from the House of Representatives informing the Senate that on 29 May 2017, it passed the following House bills, in which it requests the concurrence of the Senate. 187, an act providing for the restructuring and condonation of unpaid interests, penalties, and surcharges on loans secured by farmers, fisherfolk, and agrarian reform beneficiaries from the Department of Agrarian Reform, the Department of Agriculture, the People's Credit and Finance Corporation, the Cooperative Development Authority, the National Food Authority, and the Kidan and Rural Credit Guarantee Corporation.
Referred to the Committees on Agrarian Reform and Agriculture and Food.
5663, an act designating casinos as covered persons under Republic Act number 9160, otherwise known as the Anti-Money Laundering Act of 2001 as amended.
To the Archives.
5670, an act is strengthening assistance to all farmers by providing free irrigation service fee and all other similar or related fees or charges, amending for the purpose certain provisions of Republic Act number 3601 as amended by Presidential Decree number 552 and Presidential Decree number 1702, otherwise known as the National Irrigation Administration Act, and Republic Act number 8435, otherwise known as Agriculture and Fisheries Modernization Act of 1997, and appropriating funds therefore.
To the Committee on Rules.
4149, an act allowing the conversion of a municipality or a cluster of barangays with a locally generated average annual income of at least 250 million pesos into a component city if it has either a population of not less than 100,000 inhabitants or a contiguous territory of at least 100 square kilometers, amending for the purpose section 450 of Republic Act number 7160 as amended, otherwise known as the Local Government Code of 1991.
Committee on Local Government.
5615, an act establishing a sports complex known as the National Sports Training Center, and providing funds for the acquisition of property, the construction of facilities, and the administration, maintenance, and management of the center.
To the Committees on Sports, Public Works, and Finance.
5660, declaring February 23 of every year Special Working Holiday National Rotary Day.
To the Committee on Social Justice, Welfare, and Rural Development.
5661, an act providing for early voting for qualified senior citizens and persons with disabilities in national and local elections.
To the Committees on Electoral Reforms and People's Participation, Social Justice, Welfare, and Rural Development, and Finance.
684, an act amending Republic Act Number 53 as amended, otherwise known as an act to exempt the publisher, editor, or reporter of any publication from revealing the source of published news or information obtained in confidence by including within its coverage journalists from broadcast and news agencies.
To the Committee on Rules.
5635, extending the franchise granted to Bright Star Broadcasting Network Corporation. 5665, granting franchise to Malindang Broadcasting Network Corporation. 5654, granting a legislative franchise to Cotabato Electric Cooperative Incorporated. 5664, granting franchise to the Bicol Light and Power Corporation.
To the Committee on Public Services.
1875, an act converting the Land Transportation Office, Extension Office located in Muntinlupa City into a regular LTO district office and appropriating funds therefore. And 5627, establishing a Land Transportation Office, District Office, City of Valencia, Province of Bukidnon.
To the Committees on Public Services and Finance.
3710, declaring June 27 of every year special non-working holiday, City of El Salvador, Province of Misamis Oriental as Araw ng El Salvador. 5638, declaring November 28 of every year special non-working holiday, Municipality of Santa Margarita, Province of Samar as the Santa Margarita Foundation Day. 5639, declaring October 16 of every year special non-working holiday, City of Calbayog, Province of Samar as the Calbayog City Charter Day. 5640, declaring September 3 of every year special non-working holiday, City of Baguio, Province of Benguet, the surrender of the Japanese military forces led by General Tomoyoki Yamashita in Baguio City. 5641, declaring December 1 of every year special non-working holiday, Municipality of Padre Garcia, Province of Batangas, founding anniversary and the annual Kabakahan Festival.
To the Committee on Local Government.
5643, an act naming the Poblacion Canyuga National Road traversing Barangay Poblacion and Barangay Baracanas in the Municipality of Tubod, Province of Lanao del Norte as the Arcelo Gibranza Highway.
To the Committee on Public Works.
5646, an act establishing a fish port in Barangay Macarascas in the city of Puerto Princesa, Province of Palawan, and appropriating funds therefore. 5647, an act establishing a fish port in the Municipality of San Fernando in the island of Ticao, Province of Masbate, and appropriating funds therefore.
To the Committees on Agriculture and Food, Public Works, and Finance.
Letter from the House of Representatives informing the Senate that on 31 May 2017 it passed House Bill number 5636 entitled An Act Amending Sections 5, 6, 22, 24, 25, 31, 32, 33, 34, 79, 84, 86, 99, 106, 107, 108, 109, 116, 148, 149, 155, 171, 232, 237, 254, 264, and 288, creating new sections 148-A, 150-A, 237-A, 264-A, 264B, and 265-A, and repealing sections 35 and 62, all under the National Internal Revenue Code of 1997 as amended, in which it requests the concurrence of the Senate.
To the Committee on Ways and Means.
Letter from the House of Representatives informing the Senate that on 31 May 2017, it adopted House Concurrent Resolution number 10 entitled Concurrent Resolution Providing for the Adjournment of the First Regular Session of the 17th Congress of the Philippines, not later than 12 o'clock midnight today, Wednesday, May 31, 2017, in which it requests the concurrence of the Senate.
To the Archives.
Committee report. Committee report number 1, 2, 3, submitted by the Committee on Education, Arts, and Culture on House Bill number 2737, introduced by Representatives Tupas and Hofer, entitled An Act Extending the Deadline for Compliance of the Northern Iloilo State University with the requirements of the Commission on Higher Education for conversion into a state university, amending Republic Act number 10597, entitled An Act Establishing the Northern Iloilo State University in the province of Iloilo by integrating the Northern Iloilo Polytechnic State College in the municipality of Estancia, the NIPEC Barotac Viejo Campus in the municipality of Barotac Viejo, and Ajoy Polytechnic College in the municipality of Ajoy de Batad Polytechnic College in the municipality of Batad, the Concepcion Polytechnic College in the municipality of Concepcion, the Lemery Polytechnic College in the municipality of Lemery, and the Victorino Salcedo Polytechnic College in the municipality of Sara, all located in the province of Iloilo, and appropriating funds, therefore recommending its approval with amendments. Sponsored Senator Escudero. Committee report number 1 to 4, submitted by the Committee on Education, Arts, and Culture on House Bill number 3179, introduced by Representatives Leachon and Hofer, entitled An Act Extending the Deadline for Compliance of Mindoro State College of Agriculture and Technology with the requirements of the Commission on Higher Education for conversion into a state university, thereby amending Republic Act number 10596, entitled An Act Converting the Mindoro State College of Agriculture and Technology in the municipality of Victoria, province of Oriental Mindoro, into a state university to be known as the Mindoro State University, and appropriating funds, therefore recommending its approval with amendments. Sponsored Senator Escudero. Committee report number 125, submitted by the Committee on Education, Arts, and Culture on House Bill number 5148, introduced by Representatives Biron and Hofer, entitled An Act Renaming the Iloilo State University of Science and Technology as the Iloilo State University of Fisheries, Science, and Technology, and extending the deadline for compliance of the Iloilo State University of Science and Technology into a state university with the requirements of the Commission on Higher Education, thereby amending Republic Act number 10604, entitled An Act Converting the Iloilo State College of Fisheries in the municipality of Barotac Nuevo, province of Iloilo, into a state university to be known as the Iloilo State University of Science and Technology, with campuses in the municipalities of San Enrique, Dingle, and Dumangas, and integrating therewith the Barotac Nuevo Polytechnic Institute in the municipality of Barotac Nuevo, all located in the province of Iloilo, and appropriating funds. Therefore, recommending its approval with amendments, sponsor Senator Escudero. Committee report number 126 submitted by the Committee on Education, Arts, and Culture on House Bill number 5150, introduced by Representative Matugas et al., entitled An Act Effecting the Transition into State University of Surigao, State College of Technology, Siargao National College of Science and Technology, and Surigao del Norte College of Agriculture and Technology, all located in the province of Surigao del Norte, amending for the purpose Republic Act number 10600, entitled An Act Establishing the Surigao del Norte State University in the province of Surigao del Norte by integrating the Surigao State College of Technology in Surigao City, the Siargao National College of Science and Technology in the municipality of Del Carmen, and the Surigao del Norte College of Agriculture and Technology in the municipality of Mainit, all located in the province of Surigao del Norte, and appropriating funds. Therefore, recommending its approval with amendments, sponsor Senator Escudero. Committee report number 127, submitted by the Committee on Education, Arts, and Culture on House Bill number 5146, introduced by Representative Zamora et al., an act providing for the compliance requirements for the establishment of the Compostela Valley State College, amending for the purpose Section 26 of Republic Act number 10598, entitled An Act Establishing a State College in the municipality of Compostela, province of Compostela Valley, to be known as Compostela Valley State College, integrating therewith as regular branches the Bukidnon State University external study centers in the municipalities of Moncayo, Maragusan, Montevista, and New Bataan, all located in the province of Compostela Valley, and appropriating funds. Therefore, recommending its approval with amendments, sponsor Senator Escudero. Committee report number 128, submitted by the Committee on Education, Arts, and Culture on House Bill number 5147, introduced by Representatives Gulyas and Hofer, entitled An Act Converting the Talisay City College in the City of Talisay, Province of Cebu, into the Talisay City State College, amending for the purpose Republic Act number 10594, entitled An Act Establishing a State College in the City of Talisay, Province of Cebu, to be known as the Talisay City State College, and appropriating funds. Therefore, recommending its approval with amendments, sponsor Senator Escudero. Committee report number 129, submitted by the Committee on Education, Arts, and Culture on House Bill number 5149, introduced by Representative Sema and Hofer, entitled An Act Extending the Deadline for the Compliance of the Cotabato City State Polytechnic College with the requirements of the Commission on Higher Education for conversion into a state university, thereby amending Republic Act number 10585, entitled An Act Converting the Cotabato City State Polytechnic College in Cotabato City into a state university, to be known as the Cotabato State University, and appropriating funds. Therefore, recommending its approval with amendments, sponsor Senator Escudero. Committee report number 130, submitted by the Committee on Education, Arts, and Culture on House Bill number 5151, introduced by Representatives Dalog and Hofer, entitled An Act Extending the Deadline for Compliance of the Mountain Province State Polytechnic College with the requirements of the Commission on Higher Education for its conversion into a state university, amending for the purpose Republic Act number 10583, entitled An Act Converting the Mountain Province State Polytechnic College in the municipality of Bontoc, Mountain Province, into a state university, to be known as the Mountain Province State University, with campuses in the municipalities of Tadian, Baoco, Parasilis, and Barlig, all located in Mountain Province, and appropriating funds, therefore recommending its approval with amendments, sponsored Senator Escudero.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Additional reference of business messages from the House of Representatives. Letter from the House of Representatives informing the Senate that on 29 May 2017 it ratified the Conference Committee report on the disagreeing provisions of House Bill number 5633 entitled An Act Promoting Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education by providing for free tuition and other school fees in state universities and colleges and state-run technical vocational institutions, strengthening the Unified Student Financial Assistance System for tertiary education and appropriating funds, therefore, and Senate Bill number 1304 entitled An Act Accelerating Universal Access to Tertiary Education by providing for a tuition subsidy and financial assistance to students enrolled in state universities and colleges, private higher education institutions, and technical vocational institutions and appropriating funds, therefore.
To the archives.
Letter from the House of Representatives informing the Senate that on 29 May 2017, it designated Representative Sarmiento, Pimentel, Acop, Santos Recto, Pineda, Belaro Jr., and Garbin Jr. as conferees to the Bicameral Conference Committee on the disagreeing provisions of House Bill number 5648 entitled An Act Rationalizing and Strengthening the Policy Regarding Driver's License, providing for a 5-year validity and penalizing acts in violation of its issuance and application in anticipation of the approval by the Senate of Senate Bill number 1449 entitled An Act Extending the Validity Period of Driver's Licenses, amending for that purpose Section 23 of Republic Act number 4136 as amended by Batas Pambansa Bilang 398 and Executive Order number 1011, otherwise known as the Land Transportation and Traffic Code.
To the archives.
Letter from the House of Representatives informing the Senate that on 29 May 2017, it designated Representatives Ting, Nograles, Aglipay Villar, De Jesus, Revilla, Roa Puno, and Bertis III as conferees to the Bicameral Conference Committee on the disagreeing provisions of House Bill number 64 entitled An Act Strengthening Compliance with Occupational Safety and Health Standards and providing penalties for violations thereof in anticipation of the approval by the Senate of Senate Bill number 1317 entitled An Act Strengthening Compliance with Occupational Safety and Health Standards and providing penalties for violations thereof.
To the Committee on Labor, Employment, and Human Resources Development.
Bills on first reading. 1488. An act prescribing...
Excuse me, Secretary. Majority Leader?
Mr. President, before we proceed into the bills on first reading, I be allowed a parliamentary inquiry.
The Majority Leader is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm quite concerned with an issue that was brought to my attention, and so as soon as possible, we would like to have an opinion from the Senate Secretary, the legal division of the Senate Secretary, and perhaps in coordination with the Commission on Appointments. This might interest also the members of the Commission on Appointments. My inquiry is predicated with the fact that June 1, 2017, a number of members of the Cabinet of the President, particularly DNR, DSWD, Grain and Reform, and Health departments were reappointed. And a number of DFA, or the Department of Foreign Affairs officials, were also reappointed. Now, Congress went into session, in a joint session, July 22. And we adjourned July 22. Therefore, that means, in my humble opinion, the appointments of these cabinet secretaries have been terminated. So if they have not been reappointed today, or if they are first question, if they are reappointed today, that makes them a nomination appointments and not ad interim. That is the first question. Is that how it goes? Second, when can they be reappointed so that they will not fall under that category? And therefore, if they were bypassed last Saturday, that will be 2 strikes for 3 of them, and the first strike for 1 of them. So may we ask the legal of the Senate to give us an opinion and perhaps coordinate with the Commission on Appointments. I do not
Thank you.
want,
Yes.
I do not need the answer today, Mr. President.
Thank you for
perhaps.
bringing that
Thank
to
you.
the attention of the Senate. But that has been brought to my attention as the
Also.
chairman of the CA.
Yes.
And we are already studying the subject matter.
I see. Thank you very much, Mr. President. May we now continue with the bills on first reading?
Secretary, can we now continue with the reference of the bills on first reading?
1488, an act prescribing the mandatory guidelines on the establishment and operation of local universities and colleges and for other purposes. Senator Win Gatchalian.
To the Committees on Education, Arts and Culture, and Local Government.
1489, an act granting broader protection for consumers, amending for the purpose Republic Act number 7394, otherwise known as the Consumer Act of the Philippines. Senator Win Gatchalian.
To the Committee on Trade, Commerce, and Entrepreneurship.
1490, an act enhancing the governance structure of the Energy Regulatory Commission. Senator Win Gatchalian.
To the Committees on Energy and Civil Service, Government Reorganization, and Professional Regulation.
1491, an act institutionalizing a comprehensive benefit program to active members of the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police killed or wounded in legitimate actions or operations and creating a trust fund. Therefore, Senator Escudero.
To the Committees on National Defense and Security, Public Order and Dangerous Drugs, and Finance.
1492, an act penalizing the malicious distribution of false news and other related violations. Senator Joel Villanueva.
To the Committee on Public Information and Mass Media.
1493, an act exempting the Bureau of Internal Revenue from the coverage of Republic Act number 6758, otherwise known as the Salary Standardization Law as amended, and for other purposes. Senator Paulo Benigno Bam Aquino IV.
To the Committees on Ways and Means, Civil Service, Government Reorganization, and Professional Regulation, and Finance.
1494, an act enhancing revenue administration and collection by granting an amnesty on all unpaid internal revenue taxes imposed by the national government for taxable year 2015 and prior years. Senator Paulo Benigno Bam Aquino IV.
To the Committee on Ways and Means.
1495, an act repealing Republic Act number 1405 as amended, otherwise known as the Secrecy of Bank Deposits Law. Senator Paulo Benigno Bam Aquino IV.
To the Committee on Banks, Financial Institutions, and Currencies.
1496, an act mandating the administration of regular drug tests in correctional and penal institutions. Senator Laila M. de Lima.
To the Committees on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs, Justice and Human Rights, and Finance.
1497, an act institutionalizing human rights as a separate and specialized subject in both basic and higher education, Senator Laila De Lima.
To the Committees on Education, Arts and Culture, and Finance.
1498, an act to harmonize legal education in our country, Senator Laila De Lima.
To the Committees on Education, Arts and Culture, Justice and Human Rights, and Finance.
1499, an act requiring commercial establishments and public institutions to use appropriate filtering devices and firewalls that will restrict children's access to harmful materials, defining for that purpose offenses related thereto, prescribing penalties therefore, and for other purposes, Senator Laila De Lima.
To the Committees on Trade, Commerce, and Entrepreneurship, and Local Government.
1500, an act establishing the Filipino Identification System, providing funds therefore, and for other purposes, Senator Soviri.
The Committees on Justice and Human Rights and Finance.
1501, an act recognizing transportation network companies, prescribing requirements, guidelines, and standards for their operation, providing penalties for violation thereof, and for other purposes, Senator Grace Poe.
To the Committee on Public Services.
Resolutions. 400, resolution directing the Committee on Health and Demography to review and assess the implementation of Republic Act number 9439, entitled An Act Prohibiting the Detention of Patients in Hospitals and Medical Clinics on grounds of non-payment of hospital bills or medical expenses, also known as the Anti-Hospital Detention Law of 2007, with the end in view of determining its effectiveness in safeguarding the rights of patients to quality and affordable health care, and in order to ascertain the need, if necessary, to amend and further strengthen the law, Senator Risa Hontiveros.
To the Committee on Health and Demography.
401, resolution commending the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police for their bravery and heroism on the fight against the Mauti Abu Sayyaf terrorist group, and for their valiant efforts and sacrifices in trying to reclaim the Islamic city of Marawi from the clutches of said terrorist group, Senator Risa Hontiveros.
To the Committee on Rules.
402, resolution directing the Senate Committee on Labor, Employment, and Human Resources Development to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the rise of unemployment rate in the Philippines, Senator Laila De Lima.
To the Committee on Labor, Employment, and Human Resources Development.
403, resolution directing the Senate Committee on Banks, Financial Institutions, and Currencies, and other appropriate Senate committees to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the alleged internal data processing error of the Bank of the Philippine Islands, which caused unauthorized credit and debit transactions from the bank accounts of its clients, Senator Aquilino Coco Pimentel III.
To the Committee on Banks, Financial Institutions, and Currencies.
404, a resolution expressing the sense of the Senate to provide immediate humanitarian relief and rehabilitation to Marawi City and its residents, including other internally displaced persons, by virtue of the violent expulsion of rebel forces, urging in this wise relevant government agencies to assess the damage and provide the measures for relief and rehabilitation programs, Senator Win Gatchalian.
To the Committee on Rules.
405, resolution directing the Senate Committee on Public Information and Mass Media to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the lapses committed by the Philippine News Agency with the end in view of enabling a more independent and responsible state-run news agency that would be at the forefront of providing accurate information to the general public. Senator Laila de Lima.
To the Committee on Public Information and Mass Media.
406, resolution directing the Senate Committees on Labor, Employment, and Human Resources Development and on Foreign Relations to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation to assess the impact to the country's bilateral relations and to the overseas Filipino workers of the diplomatic row between Qatar and its neighboring countries. Senator Laila de Lima.
To the Committees on Labor, Employment, and Human Resources Development and Foreign Relations.
407, resolution directing the appropriate committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the impact of the Duterte administration's comprehensive tax reform program with the end in view of ensuring uniform and equitable tax system. Senator Laila de Lima.
To the Committee on Ways and Means.
408, resolution directing the appropriate committee to conduct an investigation in aid of legislation on the jeepney modernization program with the end in view of formulating the appropriate policy to address the transport needs of the commuting public while considering rights and welfare of operators and drivers affected. Senator Sani Angara.
To the Committee on Public Services.
409, resolution recognizing and commending the Philippines U-15 girls national football team for winning the silver medal in the inaugural ASEAN Football Federation under 15 girls championship held in Vientiane, Laos last May 20, 2017. Senator Sani Angara.
To the Committee on Rules.
410, resolution recognizing and commending Patrick Ma Onso for breaking the Philippine record of men's 110-meter hurdles and winning bronze in the Thailand Open Track and Field Championships at the Thammasat University Sports Complex held from June 12 to 15, 2017. Senator Sani Angara.
The Committee on Rules.
411, resolution honoring and commending the bravery and heroism of the uniformed men of the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police who were killed and wounded in the course of their discharge of their solemn duty of protecting the people and the state in the Battle of Marawi City. Senator Laila de Lima.
To the Committee on Rules.
412, resolution directing the Senate Committee on Trade, Commerce, and Entrepreneurship to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the reported importation and sale of steel bars despite non-compliance with the sampling requirements of the Philippine National Standards 439 proportion to 2000-002 with the end in view of protecting public safety through the enactment of remedial measures that will stop the proliferation of substandard and uncertified steel bars in the country. Senator Lacson.
To the Committee on Trade, Commerce, and Entrepreneurship.
413, resolution directing the appropriate Senate committee to conduct an investigation in aid of legislation on the contradictory issuances of the Department of Justice with regard to the killing of late Mayor Rolando Espinosa in his jail cell. Senator Paulo Benigno Bam Aquino IV.
To the Committees on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs and Justice and Human Rights.
414, resolution directing the appropriate Senate committees to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the implementation of the Air Passenger Bill of Rights and the airline company's policies on fares, fees, and other charges. Senator Paulo Benigno Bam Aquino IV.
Refer to the Committee on Public Services.
415, resolution congratulating Joven Hayagan and Jelani the Makaling for winning the gold and bronze medals respectively, and for showcasing the caliber of the Filipino worker at the first China International Skills Competition 2017 held in Suzhou and Shanghai, China on June 5 to 9, 2017, Senator Joel Villanueva.
Refer to the Committee on Rules.
416, resolution declaring support and commendation to all personnel of the Philippine National Police and the armed forces of the Philippines deployed to the battlefield in Mindanao for the faithful discharge of service in the implementation of martial law. Senator Joseph Victor Ejercito.
Refer to the Committee on Rules.
417, resolution expressing grave concern of the Senate over the decision of the Department of Justice to downgrade the charges against the members of the Criminal Investigation and Detection Group Region 8 from murder to homicide for the killing of Albuera Leyte Mayor Rolando Espinosa Sr. and directing the appropriate committee to inquire in aid of legislation into the matter, introduced by Senators Drilon, Pangilinan, Risa Hontiveros, Laila de Lima, Paulo Benigno Bamaquino IV, and Trillanes IV.
Refer to the Committee on Rules.
418, resolution honoring and remembering the fallen heroes of the armed forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police who died defending the city of Marawi for their invaluable service to the country and to the Filipino people, and expressing profound condolences to their bereaved families. Senator Aquilino Coco Pimentel III.
Refer to the Committee on Rules.
419, resolution directing the Senate Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs and other appropriate committees to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the Reuters report alleging that the Philippine National Police uses hospitals to hide drug war killings by sending already dead victims to hospitals and avoid crime scene investigations and media attention. Senator Trillanes IV.
Refer to the Committees on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs and Health and Demography.
420, resolution directing the appropriate Senate committee to conduct an investigation in aid of legislation on the growing and reportedly worsening humanitarian crisis in Mindanao, which has been under a state of martial law for more than a month to date, including and particularly the plight and rising number of internally displaced persons resulting from the ongoing armed conflict in parts thereof. Senator Laila de Lima.
Refer to the Committees on Justice and Human Rights and Social Justice, Welfare and Rural Development.
421, resolution directing the Senate Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs to conduct an investigation in aid of legislation on the Reuters special report exposing the alleged practices of certain police officers in using hospitals to conceal incidents of extrajudicial killings and in tampering of evidence at the crime scene with the end in view of formulating tighter mechanisms of accountability of police officers and instituting corrective legislative measures to improve the system of crime detection and investigation. Senator Laila de Lima.
Refer to the Committees on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs and Health and Demography.
424, resolution directing the appropriate Senate committees to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the implementation of the National Service Training Program law, particularly Section 11, creating the National Service Reserve Corps with the end in view of strengthening the National Service Training Program. Senator Paulo Benigno Bam Aquino IV.
Refer to the Committees on Education, Arts and Culture and National Defense and Security.
425, resolution directing the Senate Committee on Accountability of Public Officers and Investigations, Blue Ribbon, to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation into the 6.4 billion worth of shabu shipment from China, on the possible malfeasance, misfeasance, and nonfeasance of Bureau of Customs officials and employees. Senator Richard J. Gordon.
Refer to the Committee on Accountability of Public Officers and Investigation.
426, resolution directing the appropriate Senate committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the prolonged power outage at Camp Bagong Diwa that resulted in substandard living conditions and heightened tension leading to a fatal prison riot. Senator Laila De Lima.
Refer to the Committees on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs and Justice and Human Rights.
427, resolution directing the proper Senate committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the reported delays in the implementation and non-completion of the flood control projects of the Department of Public Works and Highways and the Metropolitan Manila in Development Authority with the end view of reviewing the government's program and timeline relative to flood control projects. Senator Joseph Victor Ejercito.
Refer to the Committee on Public Works.
428, resolution creating a Senate ad hoc committee on the Marawi Reconstruction and Rehabilitation Program. Senator Joseph Victor Ejercito.
Refer to the Committee on Rules.
429, resolution directing the proper Senate committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation to determine and devise a plan and strategy to revitalize, restore, and enhance the historical value of Intramuros and the effectiveness of Intramuros administration in fulfilling its mandate. Senator Joseph Victor Ejercito.
Refer to the Committee on Education, Arts, and Culture.
430, resolution directing the Senate Committee on Public Services to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the policy of the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board to stop processing and accepting new applications of transportation network vehicle services, considering the impact of the same on end users and the emergence of DNVs as a viable mode of transportation. Senator Grace Poe.
Refer to the Committee on Public Services.
431, resolution directing the appropriate Senate committee to inquire and review in aid of legislation the process followed by the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board in granting franchises to transport network vehicle services. Senator Joel Villanueva.
Refer to the Committee on Public Services.
Mr. President,
The gentleman from Subic, Olongo po in the Philippines, Senator Gordon is recognized.
with all due respect, Mr. President, I didn't mean to disturb the proceedings, but if you go back to about 3 or 4 resolutions that, for example, the one on Intramuros, can you bring it back, the slide, please?
May we request the Secretary General to bring back the slide? Resolution 429.
This is a resolution directing the proper Senate committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation to determine and devise a plan and a strategy to revitalize, restore, and enhance the historical value of Intramuros and the effectiveness of Intramuros administration in fulfilling its mandate. I wonder whether this is more properly in the area of, it could be an accountability because they're not doing what they're supposed to do, or it could be with tourism because that should be really part of the tourism enterprise zone. It could be covered in that aspect. Education has always been short in Intramuros because we have a lot of programs there which are not being shown to the public. Maybe it's a good wake-up caller, but maybe it's something that we should consider very carefully because Intramuros is very important. It is the only place where tourists can actually go, or where students in this country can actually go to look at our history. Apart, the rest are private museums and stuff like that. But this is something, I've always had that thinking that we should really develop Intramuros as the center of history and culture for our country. And if the people there have not done their job, I think it can be a matter for the accountability of public officers. But I'm not asking for it. I just want to have the Senate take a look at the proper committee that should really undertake this.
With the permission of the gentleman from Subic, Olongapo, may we hear from the Minority Leader?
With the permission of the Majority Leader, may we propose then that it should be referred to the Committee on Tourism and
Yes.
Education, Arts and Culture. Because I am sure there are already plans and strategies that are in place, and I think the proper committee should be tourism and exercise of the oversight functions of the committee, and to education, arts and culture with tourism as the primary committee. We submit that for the consideration of Senator Gordon, Mr. President.
I bow to the wisdom of the ages, Mr. President.
May we hear from the Majority
Okay,
Leader?
what? May I have that again, Mr. President? Because the gentleman is older than this representation.
I agree, Mr. President.
Mr. President, we concur. We have no objection that the resolution 429 be referred to the Committee on Tourism. Primarily, and to the Committee on Education, Arts and Culture, secondarily.
Yes. The Secretariat is directed to refer this Senate Resolution 429 to the Committee on Tourism and secondarily to the Committee on Education, Arts and Culture. Please proceed.
(432) resolution commending and congratulating Mark Magnifico Magsayo, Geo Santeno Santissima, and other boxers for winning in Pinoy Pride 41, New Generation Warriors held in IEC Convention Center, Mabolo City, Cebu, Senator Emmanuel Manny Pacquiao.
Refer to the Committee on Rules.
433, resolution directing the appropriate Senate committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation into the legal framework and policies governing ride-hailing vehicles with the end view of promoting better transport services for Filipino commuters. Senator Paulo Benigno Bamaquino IV.
Refer to the Committee on Public Services.
Second, additional reference of business bills on first reading. One 502 entitled An Act Recognizing the Transportation Network Companies and Drivers, prescribing requirements, guidelines, and standards for their operation, providing penalties for violation thereof, and for other purposes. Senator Joseph Victor Ejercito.
Refer to the Committee on Public Services.
Resolutions. Number 434, resolution directing the appropriate Senate committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the state of public transportation in the country, with the end in view of ensuring an efficient, dependable, safe, affordable, and viable mass transport system. Senator Sani Angara.
Refer to the Committee on Public Services.
435, resolution directing the appropriate Senate committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation to look into the efforts of local government units and the Philippine National Police towards the implementation of an identification system specific for Muslim Filipinos, with the end in view of ensuring equal protection of the law is upheld and promoted. Senator Laila de Lima.
Refer to the Committee on Justice and Human Rights.
436, resolution directing the appropriate Senate committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation into the impending suspension of operation and impounding of vehicles of Transport Network Vehicle Service operators by the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board in the absence of a franchise or provisional authority to operate with the end view of reviewing existing policies and regulations to improve the quality of transport services through innovative forms of transport. Senator Win Gatchalian.
Refer to the Committee on Public Services.
437, resolution directing the Senate Committee on Energy to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the status of power supply in the country with the end in view of ensuring the quality, reliability, security, and affordability of the supply of electricity to address rising power demand in the long term. Senator Sani Angara.
Refer to the Committee on Energy.
438, resolution directing the Senate Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs to investigate in aid of legislation into the appalling reinstatement, reversion to active duty, and designation as head of CIDG 12 of Superintendent Marcos, and the reinstatement, reversion of other CIDG 8 operatives brought about by the resolution of the IAS, which merely imposed the penalty of suspension and demotion rather than the appropriate penalty of dismissal from the service for the killing of Mayor Espinosa and Raul Yap, with the end in view of providing remedial legislations that will create a truly independent internal affairs service that is insulated from politics and partisan political influence. Senator Lacson.
Refer to the Committees on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs and Justice and Human Rights.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader.
I move to resume consideration of the following House bills, particularly on the granting of congressional franchises on various broadcasting stations in some parts of the country. House Bill 5063 under Committee Report 89, House Bill 5212 under Committee Report 90, House Bill 5064 under Committee Report 91, House Bill 5177 under Committee Report 92, House Bill 5175 under Committee Report 93, House Bill 5211 under Committee Report 94, House Bill 4636 under Committee Report 95, and House Bill 5176 under Committee Report 96.
Is there any objection? There being none, all these House bills are now open for the period of interpellation.
Yes, Mr. President, that is the parliamentary status of the measure. We are now in the period of interpellation. So may we recognize the sponsor of the measure, the Chairman of the Committee on Public Services, Senator Grace Poe.
The Chairman of the Committee on Public Services is recognized, Senator Grace Poe.
And to interpellate the Minority Leader, Mr. President, Senator Franklin Drilon.
And for his interpellation, the Minority Leader is recognized.
Pwede, ikaw. Pwedeng pulo, buo. Pagpapakita natin yung second reading sa isa. Oh, okay.
I guess there was specific question.
Sure.
If I have no questions, then I'll just say no questions.
Oo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the lady sponsor yield a few clarificatory questions on this House bills, franchise bills now under consideration?
It would be a pleasure, Mr. President, to answer whatever questions from our Minority Leader.
On House Bill 5176, this is an act renewing for another 25 years the franchise granted to Saraga Integrated and Management Corporation. This is a renewal, if I recall correctly, Mr. President, renewal of an existing franchise.
Yes, Mr. President, it is a renewal, not a new application.
And if the records are correct. The existing franchise already expired last May 5, or around May 5 of 2017, as the approval of the existing franchise took place around May 5 of 1992 and the Republic Act 7478.
Yes, Mr. President, it has expired.
And technically, there will be questions raised on a term being renewed after the expiration of the original term, but I will just want to spread on the record, how has similar franchises periods been treated in the past, where the original term expired?
Usually they're given a temporary permit to operate by the National Telecommunications Communication. There is a precedent in the past, January 2016, from Senator Osmeña. Oh no, it was addressed to Senator Osmeña from the Committee on Legislative Franchises, that the House Committee on Legislative Franchises wishes to inform you that the application for renewal of PT&T was approved by the committee and in third reading. Considering the period that a legislative measure takes to get approved, the said grantee's franchise term lapsed November 2015, but its application for renewal is still within the term of the 16th Congress. It is in this regard that we respectfully write Your Honor to consider the bill as passed in third reading by the House as a franchise renewal bill.
So it has been given a liberal interpretation in that so long as the application for renewal is filed while the franchise is still existing, then there is
a period of reprieve.
Yes.
Perhaps you can call that, Mr. President. Also, if it's within that particular Congress, in that case, it was during the 16th Congress, as long as the 16th Congress did not lapse.
Yeah. Okay. Since franchises come from the House, we give due respect and weight to the view of the House that the franchise can be considered as continuing during the life of the 16th Congress. That would be the same situation as House Bill 5211, which is a renewal of the franchise of Gateway UHF Television Broadcasting. This is House Bill 5211, which is number 4 in the enumeration of the franchise bills, and also House Bill 5212.
Yes.
This is the franchise bill, franchise of Filipinas Broadcasting Association. Just for the record.
Yes, Mr. President, both of them had expired prior to the approval of the renewal of franchise. So one, March 11, 2017 for number 5211, Gateway UHF, and one for Filipinas Broadcasting expired the 5th of May, 2017.
Yes. Mr. President, I was provided by the Secretariat, confirmed, I have with me a copy of a communication of the Philippine Competition Commission dated 29 May 2017, sent through electronic mail and confirmed by the Secretariat to have been received by the Senate on or around the date indicated in this position paper. There are a number of points raised in this position paper with the accompanying proposed amendments to the franchise bill, renewing the franchise of Infocom communications network. In order to abbreviate the proceedings, may we know if the good sponsor would be amenable in general to the proposals of the Philippine Competition Commission, so that we do not have to go through one by one insofar as the rationale of the proposed amendment is concerned in the spirit of interpellation, so that if the good sponsor is amenable to the amendments, we can go through this in the period of amendments and place on the record the rationale of the Philippine Competition Commission in suggesting these amendments. And we assume that since the good sponsor has gone over this and is in conformity with the amendment, so that we can abbreviate the proceedings rather as against going through this right now in the period of interpellation and the good sponsor agreeing to it and then repeating it again when we go through the period of amendments. So just for the record, would the good sponsor confirm that the position paper of the Philippine Competition Commission dated 29 May 2017, which was received by the committee through an electronic mail, would be acceptable to the sponsor, both in terms of its rationale and the specific amendments, so that we can close the period of interpellation on this particular franchise bill, and just propose the amendments at the appropriate time, including the rationale for such an amendments.
Yes, Mr. President, we accept the proposal of the minority leader. We took into consideration the submission of the Philippine Competition Commission, and we are agreeable with it and the rationale behind it. And so we would accept that amendment, Mr. President.
At the appropriate time.
At the appropriate time.
With that, Mr. President, we no longer have questions on the franchise bills under consideration, and if the majority leader would move for the termination of the period of interpellation, we would concur with it and proceed with the period of amendment on one bill.
Thank you to our minority leader. Thank you to the sponsor of the measure. With the chair would like to make a manifestation that tomorrow the presiding officer will be on the floor to ask a few questions to interpolate also on some of the franchise bills.
In that case, are you willing to, we maybe know if the presiding officer is willing to ask these questions during the period of amendments, so that we can close the period of interpellation, or you would want it to be in the period of interpellation?
It would be best in the period of interpellation so that I can propose the amendments as well at the appropriate time.
All right. And then in that case, Mr. President, I move to suspend consideration of House Bills 5063, 5212, 5064, 5177, 5175, 5211, 4636, and 5176.
Is there any objection? There being none, motion is approved.
We will schedule the same bills tomorrow, Mr. President. All right.
Thank you,
In the
Majority
meantime,
Leader. Thank
Mr.
you to our
President,
sponsor.
yes, I move that we adjourn the session until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Wednesday, July 26, 2017.
Is there any objection? There being none, the session is adjourned until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Wednesday, July 26, 2017.